What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. I hope you all have been having a great Thursday as we near Friday. Thank God. It's been a really long week for me. Nothing bad's happened. Just been a long work week. But we're going to continue to kind of talk about what is kind of developing the rest of the month. I don't see any major events really anywhere weather-wise, but I'm watching the tail end of May for maybe some tropical development. It's nothing that really is something we can talk about a lot. It's just something we can really mention because this is the time of the year where we start to see hints of tropical development, especially in the Gulf, and sometimes we're off the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas and Florida. So we're going to talk about what it's showing, what the GFS is showing, and we're starting to get more into the middle of the year, guys. So the weather pattern is shifting more to summer as we shake off this cooler weather. It is nippy outside right now here in central South Carolina. So we're finally going to shake that off. It's going to be a beautiful weekend for a lot of people, but there's going to be a lot of rain and storms that's going to be getting into the western Gulf states like Texas, Louisiana, and just the south central U.S. in general. Several inches of rain can fall in places like Dallas, Texas, things like that. But before we get going, guys, if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Growth is just pretty slow right now. There's not a lot to talk about, not a lot to really pinpoint to talk about. And it's just pretty much quiet, nice weather for most. But definitely like the video if you like it. And thank y'all for y'all's continued support. It's definitely appreciated. So let's take a look at the GFS. This is the Eastern U.S. As we're getting going here in time, you notice this uptick in moisture right here. We're getting into the latter part of this weekend. This uptick of this moisture right here, these are storms. And basically you're getting a Gulf flow coming up through here. Dew points are going to be high. It's going to be almost like tropical moisture, but not quite that. It's just going to be a lot of energy, a lot of moisture, a lot of storms in this area. There's going to be chances for severe storms also. But I tell you what, the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, really isn't biting on any kind of severe weather outbreak. So I'm not going to really talk about it much because to me, it doesn't look like any sort of outbreak or anything, just some severe storms, which is very common for this time of the year in this area. So a lot of rain for places like Dallas. You're going to see a lot of rain. And right now what's going to happen is we're probably going to begin to get a little bit of a ridge that kind of develops in the areas of like the more southeast areas. So you're kind of going to avoid rainfall if you live in the Georgia to Carolinas area. It's going to get kind of quiet again. It seems like our rainfall in this area kind of comes in spurts, and we don't necessarily get a few days of rain at a time or a day with rain and then 2 days without, then another day of storms. It hasn't seems like it's been doing that kind of pattern around here lately. But the moisture really just keeps going all the way into the middle part of next week. If you live in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, it gradually, as we lose a little bit of high pressure and ridging, this begins to kind of move. It might begin to get a little bit of a moist flow into the Carolinas, and we can get a little bit more storms. But look at this right here. We're going to get a little bit closer here. Let me go on and fast forward this to it. Look at this thing that pops off right here in the Gulf. This is one run. This is the GFS, the 18Z run. It is showing the same kind of energy. Time frame has been bouncing back and forth as it would in this time frame this far out, but it's consistently been showing, the GFS has, not necessarily European or really any other model. GFS has been showing something down here, and basically you got high pressure over here, so that's allowing and steering this thing to go around high pressure right into here. You see the H, and it's moving into this area. And I just lost it there. I don't know what just happened. Basically, there it is right there. So it's allowing it to move into the Gulf and move around this high pressure. And whatever this is, tropical depression, low-end tropical storm, scoots its way into Louisiana and brings tropical moisture. Not a high-end event, but that's just one scenario. That's one solution off one GFS run, one operational run. Not a big deal. But it's very interesting that it continues to show something. I'm telling you guys, I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen, but I really am not going to be surprised at all if we see some kind of tropical development before we get to the end of May. Whether that's a tropical depression that ends up and forming and hitting. Who knows? But I can tell you one thing. Check out the rainfall for the consistent moisture that's going to be flowing into the southeastern U.S., Louisiana, Arkansas. This is from now until the next 10 days, basically. That's several inches of rain. A lot of rain for most of Texas. Gets into Oklahoma, Nebraska. Kansas, sorry, and Nebraska, really. But you notice here in the southeast, you get a little bit of kind of some high pressure that develops. And storm systems just kind of go around that. You got some kind of troughing. It just kind of, it's just not, you're not going to get a lot of rain in the southeast over the next 10 days at all. You might get a couple of days with some isolated storms and showers. But we'll continue to monitor that. That might change. But you look at this right here, if it would pull up, you look at the European, because I don't want to just not show the European because it's not showing a tropical scenario. But you go through in here in time, I don't really see any kind of, I see a lot of this unsettled weather in the Gulf of Mexico, but I don't necessarily see any tropical development. So you can't, the European's not shown either. Let me tell you something though. The GFS did pretty well in hurricane season last year. So that's one thing to note. One thing I also want to show is temperature anomalies. Anomaly is compared to average. So sea surface temperatures, or SSTs in short, sea surface temperatures are a little above normal in the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the Gulf Stream is above normal too, right off the coast of the southeast. A lot of storms like to develop right here and pop off and strengthen and then cruise into the Carolinas. There's a little bit more cooler air right off the coast of the Gulf in the Carolinas, but there's warmer air into the Gulf. Now you look at this. This is in Celsius, obviously not temperatures. The sea surface temperatures are definitely not in the 20s in the Gulf. This is Celsius, so 26, 27, 27 to 28 degrees Celsius is in the low 80s, around 80 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still very cool in the Gulf. You need temperature further deeper into the 80s to favor tropical development. But you can see where the Gulf Stream is for sure, developing right into here. Not developing, it's just here. That promotes tropical development. And when you can get a tropical system in more favorable conditions. One thing I haven't really shown is shear or anything. How is that affecting anything? But if it's the GFS is trying to show some kind of tropical development right into here. There's a decent amount of warm water to enhance a little bit of development, but there's a couple other things that go into this too. So it's something we need to watch for sure. Is it a big deal right now? Not even close. But it's interesting to me because we're starting to shift a little closer to hurricane season. So this is basically right here. What we got here is this kind of symbolizes high pressures and troughs and ridgings. So basically you got a ridge of high pressure right here that develops. And that is your little low pressure right here that the GFS is trying to show, but you got high pressure shown very clearly right here. So that's going to allow this thing to kind of meander this way if it was to develop. And it actually starts to really slow down because there's not a lot of steering currents, and it kind of just goes into Louisiana as whatever it may be. But it definitely would not go into the Panhandle if this high pressure is here, which has showed up consistently at this time frame. So that's all I got. Nothing to really pinpoint or talk about. Just kind of, it's kind of a good time to brief y'all on hurricane season, talk about kind of what steers hurricanes, what promotes strengthening, and steering currents and things like that. So I'll continue to watch this. Not a big deal. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for watching, and y'all have a blessed evening.